We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Explain to me what's going on. Are you
Kathy Ramsey, I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please.
I'm sending an officer over, okay?
Please.
Do you know how long she's been gone?
No, I don't. Please, we just got out and she's right here. Oh my God, please.
As she headed down this spiral staircase, something catches her eye. Several pieces of paper.
There were 3 pages neatly laid across one of the rungs of the stairway.
Pages scrawled with a handwritten, heart-stopping message. It was a ransom note.
Of all of the evidence left behind, that ransom note is the most baffling.
Reporter Diane Diamond has covered the story from the beginning. She says the author of the ransom note seemed to know a lot about the family. The demand for $118,000 was close to the exact amount of John Ramsey's bonus that year.
A ransom note is not that long. A ransom note says, I have your child, I want $1 million, I'll call you later. This is 2.5 pages long. Whoever does that?
Convinced that either John or Patsy penned the note, investigators examine writing samples the couple submitted at the beginning of the investigation.
What we're dealing with was a disguised writing. It's difficult to try and hide your natural habits of your handwriting. You can change it for a little bit, for a sentence or a paragraph, but once you go beyond that, your natural handwriting characteristics will come out. After my examination of John Ramsey's handwriting, I was able to rule him out as a ransom note writer.
But when she compares Patsy's writing to the ransom note, the similarities are striking.
When I look at a suspect's handwriting, I look at the characteristics that are unique to that writer. These are the 5 very unique variations of the letter E that the ransom note writer and Patsy Ramsey share. Here, Patsy's C is very distinct because it is compressed, it's pointed on the left side, and you see that it's also similar in the C on the ransom note. That's a Q. That looks like a number 8. How many people write their Qs with the number 8? I don't. Do you? In this case, I found over 200 similarities between Patsy Ramsey's handwriting and the ransom note. So it's highly probable that Patsy Ramsey wrote the ransom note.
Of the head, there was an impact. The flashlight hit in the back of the head, somewhere around on the right side, but towards the back, where I'm showing here with my finger.
Right.
The brain was bruised along the entire right side. Where the brain was bruised, energy waves went through the entire brain from the right side all over. This is called a concussive impact that caused a concussion to the brain, in this case, a fatal concussion. The fracture to the skull preserved the appearance, the dimensions of the flashlight that was on the counter in the kitchen. Forensic pathologists always look for patterns, because a pattern opens the door to what type of instrument was used. But one thing is important. There was not a drop of blood on the outside. Why was there not a drop of blood? Because there is an elasticity to the skin, so this is all blunt. Nothing here will cut the skin. When the flashlight came down, the flashlight went in for about half an inch, the skin was pushed in, broke the bone, and did not cause any damage to the skin.
Is there any way we can replicate that?
You remember?
Okay, so this would be exactly how tall JonBenet was.
Right, she was 3'11".
Yes.
So Dr. Spitz, we have a skull, but with pig skin over the top of it to act sort of like the scalp, to see what it looks like if somebody hits it with a flashlight. We're trying to sort of simulate this as closely as we can as a sort of a scientific experiment, but this is quite hard to do, but we do need to do this just to see what it looks like.
Okay.
Because there's so much controversy about whether or not a child is actually capable of creating the defect in the skull, we thought it would be good if we actually brought in a child who was about 10 years old to actually do the demonstration with him.
Sure.
We're going to ask you to strike the skull. Where do you think, Dr. Spitz? Round about here?
Okay, and do it here.
So round about there.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll just take it off here. We're just going to peel this back, and you can see how it's broken. It's very similar to the type of break that we saw on JonBenet.
Well, for the first time ever, her brother Burke is speaking out publicly about this case. We brought you some of this exclusive interview with Dr. Phil McGraw on Friday, and a lot of people are asking why he chose to speak out now.
For a long time, the media basically made our lives crazy. It's hard to miss the cameras and news trucks in your front yard, and we'd go to the supermarket sometimes and there'd be a tabloid, you know, with my picture, JonBenet's picture, plastered on the front. They would follow us around. Seeing that as a little kid, just kind of chaotic nightmare. So I was pretty skeptical of like any sort of media. Like it just made me a very private person. As to why I'm doing it now, it's the 20th anniversary and there's apparently still a lot of attention around it.
Dr. Phil McGraw, good morning.
Good morning.
How extraordinary to hear him speak after all of these years. And just on the little bits that we've shown on this show, we're hearing from a lot of people saying it's a strange affect that he seems to have. He's smiling, and you say even in places in the interview where he's talking about rather serious matters.
It is. There'll be dark content, and he is smiling, and people are going to see this throughout the entire interview. Really unusual affect, either smiling or laughing. This is a very socially awkward young man, but understand, from the time this happened, his parents, depending on your interpretation, either protected him or hid him based on how you want to interpret that. So he has not had the social contact that most kids have growing up.
My husband killed JonBenet. A lot of other people do too.
What?
I said, and I think a lot of other people think he did too. When I asked him if he murdered JonBenet, he would smile, and he would not say yes or no.
He would what?
He would just not answer you.
And how did that make you feel? When you...
I guess it probably made me feel like maybe he was guilty, and I guess all along I've thought that he did it, and I think my family thought he did too.
I love JonBenet. Die accidentally.
I've contacted the Ramsey family, especially before Patricia passed away, and I conveyed to her many things, among them that I am so very sorry for what happened to JonBenet, and it's very important for me that everyone knows that I love her very much, and that her death was unintentional and it was an accident.
What happened in the basement?
It would take several hours to describe that.